Hey everyone, tomorrow is Go Battle Day for Vulpix. If you've been a long time subscriber to this channel, you know that I have used Kanto Ninetales 5 million times over the Go Battle League seasons. I think it was one of the best. It's kind of hurting a bit now. We'll go over the analysis through PV Poke to look at its wins and cons, but I definitely think this is one Pokemon that you should get. So for starters, any day that you get 100 battles and 4 times Stardust for wins is something you should do. So I'm at Legend, so 4 times Stardust is 3,600 dust per win, right? And if you can do 25 sets, yeah, nope, 20 sets. You can do 20 sets. It says right there, increase from 5 to 20. If you can do 20 sets times 3,600 dust, you are making a good amount of dust plus the win reward plus the 4,000 plus at the ending. It's plus 100,000 dust on the day if you grind out the entire day and you're at Legend. So if you want to get Vulpix, if you don't have like a good one sitting in your like storage right now, if you open up the encounters between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., that's when you're guaranteed to get Vulpix, and there is no sort of minimum IVs on it. So you will have a chance to get like good IVs for like Great League and Ultra League. And in addition, you have a chance for increased shiny. So if you want a shiny Vulpix and that's your thing, open it up. But we don't care about that. We care about the analysis. And so I've got Ninetales Fire Spin and Ninetales Ember, and then the same thing with Shadow, except I put it in the wrong order. Let me just put it in the same order so it does not confuse anyone here. I'm going to tell you something interesting. So it's interesting because if you go, let me just show you here. If you go just Ninetales, the recommended moveset is Fire Spin. But if you go Shadow Ninetales, the recommended moveset is Ember, and you get, so Ember is the move that you will be getting on Ninetales. So that was interesting to me, and I want to see if that lines up in the analysis here. So the problem is Ninetales had some weaknesses that were common, and now you have a lot more weaknesses based on the meta. So you're always going to lose to Altaria, you're always going to lose to Azumarill, you're always going to lose to Bastion. So now Charizards are everywhere. So that is an extra Pokemon with the wing attack buff that you're now going to lose to, right? Because you can only throw resisted moves, their wing attacks will let up. Plus the Blast Blurring just hits like a truck. So lots of losses. You will get some wins, like Crest doesn't really have anything to throw at you. So the difference between, here's your first sort of split here, between the Ninetales with Fire Spin and Ninetales with Ember. It looks like you will pick up the Defense Deoxys matchup with a regular Ninetales with Ember. Lose to Diggersby, yeah, it's ground. Looks like sweeps across the board to Drapion, Dunsparce, Frostlass. Yep, super hard losses to Lantern. Nothing you can do. 407 though, that is interesting. That's a loss, but that is not as bad as some of these other losses. So that's interesting. Water Gun, just nothing you can do there. The Lickitung, this is why I like going. I always go Shadow. People say, does it matter Shadow versus non-Shadow? For me, Shadow is better, especially Ninetales, because it does hit decently hard and you get that extra boost, and it's already kind of glassy anyways. Looks like you pick up the wins against Lickitung with the Shadow versus non-Shadow. The Mandibuzz matchup, again, the one thing that sticks out is your Shadow loss with Fire Spin, but the Ember damage looks like you get it there. Now I'm wondering, I just want to run this analysis, I'm wondering if it requires a bait and then a nuke. And that is my guessing here. You bait the Weather Ball and you land the Overheat. So that is, take this with a grain of salt, because I think a lot of these are going to be like that. The thing is, like, what's the difference between Ember and Fire Spin? I guess I should start with that. Fire Spin is a faster energy generation move. Ember is a harder hitting move. So realistically with Fire Spin, you will get to overheats faster, which is where its main strength is. The difference between the damage, the energy generation is not terrible. So that's why I think a lot of people prefer Ember and have put it on, is because Ember hits decently harder, but the energy gain is not substantially lower to make up for that difference. Which is why, like, you have like a Marowak win. Like, that's a good win for that. But you lose the Metachamp matchup because I guess you're just going to get outpaced by the counters now. Metachamp and not being able to get to moves, Metachamp will get that. I guarantee these are all bait dependent as well. But win against a Ninetales, win against Noctowl across the board. Like, I've always won against Noctowl. Even with the buff, you still beat Noctowl. That's a pro. That's why Noctowl is always usually paired with like Lantern or Swampert. Obstagoons across the board. Pelipper, again, not much you can do there. Reggies, look at those Reggie wins. That is beautiful. How easy you take down Reggie. I always used to use this as a core breaker. I used to beat Registeel, I used to beat Trevenant, I used to beat Walrein. It was just such a strong Pokemon. Sableye, kind of close across the board. Definitely like Shadow Claw, but you don't even need to echo over the overheat. I think you just kind of Ember, Fire Spin plus normal. Scrafty, you're gonna lose, just gonna get outbulked. Stunfisk, looks like the Shadow, you take up both. Ember's a little easier for the win here. I guess you're that extra damage plus the Weather Balls are just going to spam. And then hard losses to Swamperts, Talonflame, Toxapex. Yep, there's nothing you can do about those. So this is interesting because there is a very clear distinction here in the Toxicroak matchup. You win with Fire Spin in the Shadow. You barely lose in the Fire Spin with non-Shadow. But you get beat up pretty hard when you're throwing Ember. And that's because you don't get to the charge moves faster, and they're going to be able to spam the mud bombs and take you out faster, and that's why. Trevenant, the only loss here is the Ember normal typing, and the hardest win is Shadow Ember typing, right? So that's kind of why I like Shadow. This one, they're baiting a Seed Bomb for sure. I played this matchup multiple times. If they do bait a Seed Bomb, they can land a Shadow Ball, but in the normal ones, you can just Fire Spin and Weather Ball, take them out. But with Ember, you're a little slower, so you won't be able to take out Trevenant. I like that you can now take out the Umbreon. Again, I guarantee you this is bait dependent. You're going to need to shield. Yeah, you need to land an overheat. That's not surprising. So it is bait dependent. Just keep that in mind. But the extra damage is there. Easy wins against Grass. Interesting. Not even that easy. I mean, it's an easy matchup, but it's not super, super easy against the Venusaur there, which is surprising. Vigoroth, you win normal Ninetales, so that's kind of just like a who gets one extra energy. And this is interesting because I always said that it was such an easy answer for Walrein having the Fire Spin. And as you can see here, that is very true because you have 746 and 730. Those were always wins that I had against Walrein. But look at that. The Ember, you lose both here, and you lose the Ember against the Shadow normally. And so if you look at the win-loss percentage, you actually decrease in both. But the average, so that's interesting. So it looks like if you're running a normal Ninetales, I think you may want to keep it Fire Spin because that is 3 extra losses, a way lower sort of average overall. And I think what that comes down to is, again, Ember is a harder hitting move. So if you want a harder hitting move, and Ninetales is already pretty glassy, that extra sort of hard hitting damage on the normal one is not worth it. It is sort of worth it on the Shadow because that extra Ember damage is going to do a ton. So even though you have one more loss, it's not even an extra loss. It's now that one win becomes a tie. So overall sort of neutral, but your actual win percentage average is increased, which means your losses, it's either your wins are bigger or your losses aren't as much. And what I saw across the board, it seems like your losses aren't as much. So if you have a Shadow Kanto Ninetales, I think that running Ember on it is probably the better move. If you have a normal Ninetales, I think you just prefer the Fire Spin and Weather Ball. Not that many people are going to do this, but my buddy and I have been looking at... I need to get out of this, which is too bad. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to redo this in the Ultra League, because the Ultra League is interesting, because my buddy and I have been looking at Ninetales in the Ultra League, because it has some sneaky play in the Ultra League, because there are a lot of things that are weak to Ninetales in the Ultra League. Lots of steals, Cobalion, Registeel, Galarian Stunfisk, a Ninetales. Everyone wants to use that now. So a Ninetales is a nice, or no, I want to do the a Ninetales is an answer. And as soon as I put in this last one here, we will run it in the Ultra League. It is very spicy in the Ultra League. I haven't seen a ton. I do think it actually has some play. So Ultra League, let's go Ultra League meta, just to see. just for fun, right? So interesting. So you beat Charizard with Shadow Ember, but look at these wins. Like this doesn't surprise me. Cobalion, Cofagrigus, Cresselia. But you lose to Deoxys, but not in the Shadow, so that's already 2 pickups there. But you lose it to the Drapion with Aqua Tail. But you beat that overall. You beat Delpole overall. Lose to Empoleon except for the normal one because the waterfalls are just going to add up. Destroy Escav. Obviously, clear losses like Giratina, Gliscor. Gliscor is probably going to be very bait dependent to land an Earthquake. Obviously, Fairy, Greedent. Anything that's like a dragon, you're going to have problems. Dragon or water, right? Dragon, Guzzlord. Gyarados, water. Jellicent, water. But even the Jellicent, even just being straight fire moves only that are all resisted, you still don't even lose that bad in the Shadow. Machamp, you're just going to get outpaced. Mandibuzz, it looks like having that Ember or Shadow is more important. Again, bait dependent. You lose Poison Jab because again, once you go Shadow Ninetales without being able to get to the moves, you're gonna lose some of these matchups here. Like again, Muck, Nidoqueen. That doesn't surprise me. But yeah, again, Ninetales you'll beat, Obstagoon. So maybe just be like a little glassy. Pidgeot, the regular one's better. Wins against Reggie, Scizor, Scrafty, Snorlax, Stunfisk for most of them. Again, destroyed by Swampert, Tapu, obviously Toxicroak's closer, but again, you're just going to get outpaced, not getting to the moves. Big wins against Trevenant, except for the Shadow, but then you beat the Umbreon, so like take that with a grain of salt. And then we did the Walrein in the other one, which kind of showed this. So really, so this is interesting. So look at the opposite of that in the Ultra League here. Still very, very close in the Shadow. The same record, but the overall wins, like win average, is much higher in the Shadow version, 515 versus 494. But look at this. You actually pick up 4 wins in the non-Shadow version with a 503 win percentage there. So that is really interesting to me. Why do I think why do I think you pick up 4 wins and have a higher win percentage here? So let's just look at the wins. So like Walrein, again, my gut tells me, because it does take, you do get to like level 50. You will get to level 50 with this. And I think what it comes down to is the Ninetales bulk doesn't exist in the Great League, right? Because it only gets up to like level, I don't know, I don't want to make up a number here, but it's probably in the 20s, maybe 30s. So in the Great League, you're still going to have all these like level 40 and 50 Pokemon out bulking you. And that's the main problem with that league. But if you get up to level 50, you now have more bulk plus the extra damage that comes with Ember. I think that gives you the advantage to survive some of these moves in Ultra League while still putting in that Ember damage and being able to get to the Weather Balls / Overheat easier. So definitely worth grinding for a couple. I don't know what I have in my inbox yet, or my storage. I need to go check out what I've used my Kanto, Fire Spin, Shadow Ninetales many times in the Great League. I loved using it. Like it had great matches. Like I said, you can land overheats and like take Deox and Medicham matchup. You beat the Noctowl. You had just so many great matchups. You beat Trevenant, you beat Registeel, you beat Walrein. It was a beast for me in Great League until the meta changed and Lanturns were everywhere and Bastions were everywhere, because those are just 2 hard losses you can't do much about. And those showed up to deal with Noctowl, which is everywhere, right? So that's kind of the drawback. But maybe there'll be a nerf to something in the future that Ninetales can have more play. Like I've mentioned, I don't know if it was this video, I want to just shot like a Surf nerf that will lower Lantern's play overall. So that could happen, right? We don't know what the nerfs are going to be. We don't know what the buffs are going to be. So definitely worth building one. What I would recommend is you're never going to get a chance to, you'll never get a chance. You're not going to get probably a chance anytime soon again to get Ember on Ninetales. So my recommendation is any Great League or Ultra League Ninetales you want to build up, evolve them immediately and get Ember on it. And then you can come back and do this analysis and say, you know what, I would actually prefer having a Fire Spin, because then you can easily just TM that off. You can't just TM an Ember on, you have to Elite TM an Ember on. So my suggestion is just evolve all your Ninetales, get the Ember on it, make a decision later whether you want to keep it on or not. Or you may have like multiple Great IV Ninetales that you want to use for Ultra League and Great League, so you can build up one of each. That's an option too. So that is it. Have fun playing. Definitely go get one, if not more, because it is a great Pokemon. Especially in the right scenarios, you can cover those weaknesses, right? You can cover Lantern and Bastion with Swampert. Like, it can still team build with it. Definitely worth getting. That is it. So have fun tomorrow. Enjoy it. Grind that dust. Grind that. Good luck trying to hit Legend if you haven't hit Legend yet. And stay tuned for many more Love Cup teams and many more Ultra League teams in this week. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.